I want to share some tips with you today about how to maximize your effectiveness as a product manager. And I'm going to level with you. I'm going to talk to you about something that you've all heard in product management. And it's probably one of the most overused buzzwords that you've heard, but it's something that I find of great value in all things that I do inside product management. So let me erase all of this stuff I wrote up on the board so I can write one word. And most of you, as I write it out, are already going to know that word and are probably going to push pause and want to end this video because empathy has been beat to death in the context of product management. You've heard it over and over and over again, and you are quite tired of hearing it again. But I promise you, if you stick with me, I'm going to show you a new method on how to employ empathy that's going to maximize your success as a product manager. And it's often one of the most overlooked components that, when employed, will create a pretty big step change in your day-to-day life as a product manager. So in this, I want to talk about how you engage with your stakeholders as a product manager. So let's imagine that you work in a large corporation and one of your main stakeholders for the product that you are building is a business stakeholder. This business stakeholder is responsible for increasing revenue, keeping budget on product, and also coming up with use cases. In most of the organizations I've worked with, this person here is one of the most frustrating to work with as a product manager. And I say that, and there's probably a business person who is watching this video thinking the same about a product manager. But if both sides would employ a little bit of empathy in their interactions, things will improve dramatically. And I'm not just saying this is going to increase your day-to-day. This is going to create a step change in how you interact with business stakeholders or any other stakeholders. So using these here, what we have in our outline of this stakeholder is various pain points. Just as if you were creating a new product, you would outline the pain points that your potential end users have, and then try and create features that will make their lives better. So, business person responsible for increasing revenue, keeping budget on a product, because in most organizations, they are the ones that provide the funding to build the product and also coming up with use cases. If you look at these three pain points, they sound very similar to what most product managers are tasked with. And depending upon the organization that you're in, you as a product manager may not have the overall authority for what is being delivered on the product. However, within your role, you tend to have the most customer-centric viewpoint on the product that you are creating. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn these pain points into ways of working with the business stakeholder that will maximize the output of the entire team working on the product. So let's say the person needs to increase revenue. What is the best way to increase revenue? Creating new features that drive more sales. What is the best way to do that? Through having a human-centered approach. So for those that think empathy is a minor thing, I highly suggest you check out Self-Made Billionaire Effect and read about the multiple billionaires that used empathy in context to create billion-dollar wealth for themselves. So going back to this, in engaging with these people, looking at budget, and then coming in with use cases. A very simple way to engage with this user, ways that I've used in the past, is through things like a design sprint or through a hackathon. One of the chief complaints that I run into as a product manager and that other product managers that I've hired and mentored have run into is that we don't move fast enough, that validation of features or new product ideas or whatever with the end user through those methods, through design thinking, through design sprint, through whatever, takes too long. So what I like to do is design a way to interact with this person to be able to use our tools that overcome some of those objections. So for example, business person here comes to us with some use cases and wants us to build them, but doesn't want to take the time to validate. So let's work with the business stakeholder to come up with a hackathon that will be done over the course of 24 to 48 hours. But in this hackathon, all you're going to essentially do is run a design sprint. And you're going to include the business stakeholder throughout this entire process. As you do that, you will not only be working on validating those ideas or use cases that they came with because you're bringing in real customers, but you're going to give this person a new viewpoint on product development, because when they see real customers giving feedback to say, well, this doesn't really benefit me a whole lot, it's going to change the perspective of this person on saying, well, we need to do this. Because if these fail, then they're not going to increase revenue. So within this and using empathy, it's all about using it in the context of the relationship. Understanding what is the pain points, what is the pressures, because not only is this person having these goals, they have someone from finance that is pushing down on them. They have someone from marketing that is pushing down on them saying, we need these or this bits of information. We need you to do all of these things so that we can also do our jobs, just like we have as a product manager. But if you show up in a meeting looking at this person with devil eyes, that they are the enemy because they don't understand how to validate an idea, or they don't understand why you should be going out and talking to users, it's on you to shift that mindset for that person and show them the value of those items, because most likely they've read an article that said design thinking or lean startup or lean experimentation was dumb and couldn't be done inside a large organization, or they've worked for a place in the past that had that mindset, and maybe they've come up through many successful product launches and they believe that waterfall is the way to go. But as we know in our new element, by going through waterfall, it's what causes a lot of large organizations to essentially fail. They end up spending a lot more money, which is going to blow the budget. It's not eventually going to increase revenue because you're ultimately not talking to your customers as often and iterating through things to help with keeping up with changing technology or changing societal influences, whatever it may be. So within that, empathy is a very simple way to engage with stakeholders that will create a step change in how you work as a product manager. It seems simple, and in essence it is, but in practice it's much tougher. In meetings, try to listen more and talk less. Ask your stakeholders out for lunch, ask your stakeholders out for coffee, get to know them as a person, connect with them on a personal level, and then start working through these components and creating a better process for working together that will help them achieve their goals, but while also helping you work with the methodologies and process that you know to be best.